Hello and welcome to JomezPro's coverage of the final Disc Golf Pro Tour event of 2019, DISCRAFT's Green Mountain Championship from Smugglers Notch Resort in Vermont. BigSexy Commentary here with you, Nate Sexton, Jerm.
And we are on Disc Golf Pro Tour Stop 10 of 11, and we have a very, very adverse condition. We are playing on a completely different course. It's just about 50 feet away from the other course, but it is completely different than we experienced in round one. Fox Run wide open, and we're going to have tons of wind to deal with all day long.
Chris Dickerson in the lead, Paul McBeth, Zach Melton in a three-way tie for second with our last player, Grip 6, low profile, coming up for Nate Perkins.
Nate Perkins, I've told this to him a couple times, but with this little mustache, he kind of looks like a little Spanish conquistador. I really like it. It fits his face well. But when you're away for 6 weeks and you see your friends for the first time and they start growing mustaches, I love it. I don't know, man. It's a good feeling.
Hole 1 of Fox Run Meadows is a par 4, 600 feet. It's kind of like OB Island, the entire fairway, so you have to cross that first long grass area to come to rest safe. Otherwise, you're going to go to where you last crossed. The drop zone's an option.
Chris Dickerson.
Chris Dickerson, obviously the winner of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship last year in Jacksonville, Florida.
And that is the only Pro Tour left. I said final event, but really there is that Tour Championship. Doesn't quite feel the same, but it is one last thing, kind of the capper on the season.
And that tournament will be in Charlotte, North Carolina, baby. Bringing back to my hometown.
Good shot from Chris there, nice and low.
World champion, Paul McBeth.
Some camaraderie between Zach Melton and Chris Dickerson, two guys who've come up in the game together in Tennessee. It's going to be great seeing them play together and support one another on this big stage.
Paul with that wide hyzer, skipping pretty quick.
Oof, stays in bounds.
That's a nice place to be. He'll have a lot of room to work with.
The lefty with a laugh, Zach Melton.
Zach checked back. He's like, "What did you say?" Zach has gone low. Maybe not quite as much anhyzer as he'd like, but the low shot staying relatively unaffected by the wind.
Wyoming, Texas. Let's give it up for Nate Perkins.
And I think this is a great place for a conservative drive, like what Zach did there. I mean, sure, closer is always better, but you're not going to really buy much by going ultra aggressive lefty here and trying to get way up the fairway as Nate stays safe, I believe.
Oh, wow, that is super ultra close. But yeah, you're totally right there. Just getting one in bounds is all that's important here. I mean, that's the way it is all over the course, but there's some places where you really need to bite off a lot of distance and stay in bounds.
Yeah, this being only 600, you're going to see Zach catch a couple trees, but he still gets up there for a putt, even from a very short drive, and it wasn't like he threw that upshot perfectly. So you're still in business really from anywhere on this fairway. We're going to see Chris go to the forehand, swinging out nice and wide. Distance is good. Roll is perhaps terrible, but it'll be all right.
Yep, and you can see just 1 meter inside the circle.
And 1 meter in bounds.
And you don't really want to be that far away from the basket today, folks. There is a ton of wind. I mean, it's just all over the place, like I said early. But it's putting is not necessarily what you want to be doing on this course. I can't imagine we're going to see too many putts made from deep today.
A few kind of woodsy spots on this course that'll cut the wind, but a lot, as you said, a lot of open golf as well. It's got a really nice mix, I feel. All with a great approach. And this will be Zach for birdie. About 40 feet. And that's how it looks sometimes on a windy day when you try to get that jump putt up and the wind isn't having it. And similar fate for Perkins as his putters just slammed down. Wind maybe a little lull here. Probably wouldn't matter anyway as Paul slices right through it. Great putt. And Chris is high.
It could have been a lot worse. Oh, no, it is a lot worse. Oh,
wow,
no.
That was a brutal roll.
Oh, it looked like it was just going to roll a little bit, but all the way back down, out of bounds. Right from the beginning, Chris Dickerson facing some adversity and splashing out right side. That is going to be a 6 to start the round. Looking like he was putting. He's going to have a birdie.
And Paul goes from 2 strokes back, tied second, to solo first place in 1 hole.
Wow. That is a tough break for Chris Dickerson. One of the better players. The reason why he earned the name Robot Chicken, because he's so methodical. He's so mechanical and just, yeah. Zach's there to help him laugh about it, but at the same time cry a little bit too.
On to hole 2, par 3, 270 feet through the tight tunnel. Cool feature here with the big rock sitting there in the middle of the fairway, and then we've got the elevated basket. You can see the OB is kind of that mow line down there on the right and also long, even short of the mow line actually, as you see the white stakes early. So if you take a big kick on this hole and go right, you could certainly go out of bounds. There's also some pretty tough rough on that left side.
There are so many beautiful holes in this course, but this one, just for some reason, every year, this is the one that stands out for me as just one of the signature holes in this course. It's an unassuming 300-foot or 270-foot shot. It's a relatively short hole. The gap is pretty wide. The ceiling isn't too low. But just with this little tunnel, you get so many different trees that have that change of color. And it shows up more here than almost anywhere else in the course. And then once you get up to the green, you get the mountains in the background. And like you said, that rock in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah. We saw Paul barely stay in bounds, Zach a little low. And
wow.
Nate, extremely early release. See if Chris, known as, a technician in the woods, but this is not going to do it.
And his rough start's going to continue. And that first hole is averaging 4.17. This one's averaging just over 3.04.
Wow, a lot of people getting in trouble. And that was a good little tree. That might have been pushing to the OB line as well.
Not scores that you normally ever see on this course. Is really showing how much this wind is affecting the entire field. And it was windy all day long. There was really never a time where anyone got a reprieve from the wind. It was always, from the beginning of the day with the FPO division playing, you could see videos of them just handling 30-mile-an-hour crosswinds.
That was a great shot from Chris. And wow, Zach going after it as well.
Maybe a little bit closer to a run than he was probably trying for, but
Paul has nothing but a layup with that low ceiling.
Let's see if our lead card can make these putts and stay at even par for the hole. No, that's a last putt you ever want to leave yourself with on this course is an elevated 25-footer.
Nice.
And just like that, though, this course is definitely showing its teeth. And I would have lost money if you had said that. Oh, they're saying that he made the basket there on the Disc Golf Pro Tour sign, which is like a half point, I believe.
Yeah, the points are really important in this game. If you can get as many as those at the end of the season, you get some kind of obelisk or something. I'm not really sure. Hole 3, par 3, 285. This is a similar kind of shot, low ceiling, sort of mid-range, a little bit more tree action at the end, so you need that little bit of left fade. I think we're going to see mid-ranges, kind of medium stable. You don't want it to really tail off. You just want it to glide slightly left, but then you do have the out-of-bounds long, and it comes up on you quick. If you kind of go chain high here, you might be looking for trouble.
And some people like to go for the big, high shot to grandma's house, just try to spike hyzer it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to see that here with this card. And certainly not from Zach.
This doesn't quite flip for him. going to be a putt. A little bit of a scary putt, though. I feel like this green, the steepness of the drop-off behind it does not come across well on video. Like, this is a putt you're kind of worried, a little worried if you're 40 feet out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're even worried if you're 35, like 30. You know, it's super, super steep. And again, another par 3 where no one's really shopping for birdies right now. But it's also another par 3 that's averaging over par at 3.05. So, oh, yeah, that catches a root. That thing is out of bounds. So it's a good stop there for Chris.
Nice layup from Nate.
Yeah, just with that hard pan ground down there, it is definitely a treacherous green. Is he running this?
Oh, yeah. He had a little bit better angle. He's not going straight down the slope.
Yeah.
You see that bridge, that little creek is the OB line down there.
And see, just like
And look at that, out. And that was not even, that was such a slow putt. And you see that even got out of bounds. And often this, you'll be left with almost no line sometimes down here. Looks like he does have a line, though. Oh,
no.
Maybe not.
Zach still has a long putt for his 5. Oh,
that's
man.
a nice catch.
Yeah, that almost fell out for the triple, but goodness gracious, thank gosh. It stayed in for the double bogey. And, I mean, this hole is one of the holes that's not really even affected by the wind that much.
Yeah.
And just sometimes, you know, the way the card starts off can rattle the players in the atmosphere. And, you know, like Chris with the double bogey, and then Nate with the bogey, and no one birdieing hole 3, and then no one birdieing hole or 2, and then no one birdieing 3, and then, man, just like that. Like, this card is just a little rattled right now.
Hole 4, par 4, 620 feet. You've got 2 options. The very narrow shot up the left side that pretty much nobody does, or a hyzer or forehand flex into this big landing area on the right. You see that OB runs the whole length of the hole on the left side, and all that long grass OB as well. The OB wrapped behind the pin. Beautiful rock work again, as always, out here on the green. So I think these guys are probably going to play that right gap off the tee and then try to keep something below the wind or just throw overstable on that approach.
The beauty of this course cannot be overstated, folks. I mean, it's just,
ooh. We got a fighter. We got a fighter.
That is a huge break.
That is very fortunate. You're talking about possible re-tee. Possibly electing to re-tee if that doesn't make it across.
I mean,
this is too high.
But there's no way this swings all the way back to, no. No, okay, it did go out of bounds. I thought it could have been so high that it swung back to that strip down the middle.
Yeah, I've never seen that, but I'm sure it's been done.
This
is better.
Yeah, this is a great shot from Nate. Zach lining up. Understable flip up and just a fade out to the right. All the way up to the bush. That's a great shot, yeah. Paul's way out of position. This would be a huge sidearm to get all the way up to the pin. He's got it, though.
Nice shot.
Great recovery. Speaking of recovery, Chris needs to save this par here. This is a nice low line shot.
That's what I'm talking about, playing under the wind. You know, throwing that overstable, not really getting way up there above the trees, and just keeping it flat and throwing really point to point. That's a good play.
Still a tricky putt left for Chris, and Zach is in that nice range as well for a birdie. And the highlight drive of the group, Nate Perkins just pitching up.
Whoa.
A little bit long.
And that, you know, if the wind is similar direction-wise to when we played it, that's not the side of the basket you want to be on.
He's got his awkward stance as well, having to stand on the rock. And to a headwind, this is a scary putt. That is
well done.
That is fantastic.
That's a Texan for you. Great spin, cutting through the wind.
Stab of the putt.
Nice putt. Now the birdies are starting to flow.
And Chris able to capitalize. Look like there's a little bit of lull of the wind right there. The flag says, yep, here we go again.
Huge thank you to DISCRAFT, not only for their support of the Green Mountain Championships, but also for their support of these videos through JomezPro. Hole 5, par 3, 445, one of the toughest kind of gut check holes out there. This one with the water right next to it, OB down that right side and OB deep. Big highs are usually just an obvious option here, but with the wind how it is, you might see some guys try to go low, play it a little safer. The hyzer's also obviously still an option. I don't think Paul's going to go high, as this is a fairway driver. He's going to play kind of mid-height. Good sweeping hyzer.
I think this is a Raptor. Isn't it? Isn't that the clear disc?
That could be. Oh, this is a bit of a scary roll, but he stops in those rocks.
Yeah, kind of an unfortunate break. Didn't have a ton of angle, but anything that comes into this hillside on angle is definitely subject to roll away.
A little bit wider from Nate. He's going to need to fight before these trees.
And it is always, oh, did that fight? Wow. No, not enough. Usually when it goes up to those trees, it is not coming out. Those are pretty thick and grabby. That's going to be an early out of bounds stroke for Nate, which is one of the reasons this hole gets so scary off the tee.
And talk about scary, being a lefty on this, having to swing it out over the OB the entire way.
Oh, wow.
What a shot.
Oh, yeah, that's a FollowFlight all day long.
That's a beautiful shot. Way wide, maybe even getting over the water briefly. Definitely.
So happy I'm not a lefty on this hole. That is clinical there.
And Chris still looking for that first birdie of the round. This is wide. It has the height.
I like this.
I think it'll be short. Not much. Not at all.
No.
It's long, actually. The guy can crush.
Yeah, Chris Dickerson is definitely an understated distance thrower.
Yeah.
The guy can absolutely rip on the disc.
And Nate, early OB here.
This is a really nice looking approach.
That is good.
Yep. And that is why Paul. He just capitalizes. A little bit of a roll away down to a much more difficult putt uphill. It's windy. Just unfazed by it. Inside the circle, go ahead and count it.
Oh, and Chris unable to hit the putt. Nate gets the bogey save. And this drive from Zach caps it off.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful. The holes, and we haven't played a hole that has average below par yet. We will in the next hole, but these first 5 are just intense, and this one's averaging 3.27. It's only the 6th hardest hole in the course, and that's about as high as the highest average on the previous round, which was, I believe, 0.31 over par. So
wow.
This whole course is just, we've got 12 of the 18 holes averaging over par, whereas only 7 did that in the round before.
Okay. Hole 6, par 3, 290, slightly uphill with OB all around the pin, but not a lot in the way. One of the easiest holes on the course, though you're still dealing with all that wind. I think we're going to see some forehands. Obviously, Zach, as the lefty, going to go with that backhand. It's definitely a driver because you do need it to swing. As we see Paul get up high with this. Didn't swing as much as he probably wanted, but he's in the circle.
Yeah, with that right to left wind, you really got to get it high to get that push over to the right that you're looking for. It's a lot of angle, but maybe a little bit too wide for Zach. It's going to be a challenging putt, but he got a nice little roll.
And you see the flag pretty dead here at the pin, so maybe those trees around the basket providing a little bit of relief for the players.
It's a little bit lower, getting a little bit more swing, and that roll is helpful.
You hear him a few holes away.
I think they were talking about me right there, that you can hear him 2 holes away. I got a text message from Zach in the middle round, said, "Can you please shut up?" Zach likes to mess with me on the course quite often. That was right about the time when that text message was sent too, so I'm pretty sure that's what they were talking about. Wow, very aggressive run from Nate. Oh, smooth.
Nice putt.
And this one was averaging 2.68, which is still 0.32 below par, but normally we're seeing 0.7 under par.
Yeah.
Some staggering number on this particular hole. We always talk about how this might be one of the easiest holes on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Certainly not playing nearly as easy in round 2 here.
Turkey for Zach, turkey for Paul, and Chris is on the board. That birdie will pull him to 1 over for the round.
Chris Dickerson, he is a player that we don't talk enough about him because he doesn't travel as far as the rest of the touring players.
Yeah.
But his statistics are staggering. He has an over 50% win percentage and over 100 wins. And he's only been playing for just a couple of years.
Hole 7, par 5. We got to talk about this one. 12-25. You got the clearance on the drive. First thing you got to do, make a decision. Are you going big off the tee or are you going to pitch up short? It's pretty windy. I think both plays have a lot of merit on a day like this. But the wind isn't in a direction that's like too terrible for these players. So we're going to see Paul go aggressive. No surprises there.
This needs to start swinging.
And it is. This is big.
Yeah. Man.
That is very controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach also going to go big. This wind should push quite a bit.
Another huge hyzer shot in the wind. Zach Melton.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a mid-range, so I would expect that this is going to be the short play.
Wow. Just dancing up and down. Nice shot for Chris. And Nate being aggressive as well, hammering this through that gap.
That is great.
Yeah, that is a really nicely executed throw.
Oh, that dude crushes.
All 4 drives safe, which happens probably 5% of the time.
Not huge distance for Chris here, but it honestly isn't that big of a deal. I'm pretty sure he's happy with 5.
Yeah.
When he's already making that shot short.
Mm-hmm.
So he really doesn't have to worry. He mostly just needs to play safe, get himself within 300, and make that approach for a par putt.
I love this.
That is another big shot.
Mm-hmm.
And just fantastic control through the wind. Just really knowing his stabilities and his angles. This is where you really like to be a lefty. You have all that room to swing the disc out, not worry about any trees. And that's really well done.
And at that point of the full fairway bulges out for even extra confidence to hang that thing out wide. As we see Paul go for the big wide sidearm. Not worried about that one. It's going to hyzer back into that little bubble. Chris has gone mid-range off the tee, and then I think he went with a fairway driver, and now he's going with the distance driver, so he's kind of playing this hole backwards.
Wow, he is getting kind of surprisingly aggressive here, actually. I guess if you can do that. Wow, that's an interesting play. Kind of like short, medium, then boom.
That's what we used to do at 888 at USDGC.
Mm-hmm.
Players would go putter, and then mid-range, and then go for the big spike hyzer with the driver for their third shot.
Nice shot from Nate.
And a slightly elevated basket, making that putt just a tad more difficult. I like this a lot. Paul super overstable ESP force, just digging into the earth there, leaving him no more than 25 feet. And I also really like this if it doesn't go too far, but Zach Melton,
Whoa.
not knowing how to not throw it.
And Jordan narrowly escapes with his life on the catch cam.
Wow. Jump. Get higher. Oh,
no.
Zach Melton. Great tee shot, great second shot. Just the third shot is so difficult on this hole as Nate is off the rim. And I attribute that distance misread from Zach Melton to there's a little bit of a false front on this approach. And it can make this basket really play tricks on the depth perception. And, I mean, I found myself in practice going over that wall thinking, how did I get there so quick?
Yeah.
And that's what those little hills can do sometimes.
And if you're a McBeth fan, congratulations, you're having a great year. But the rest of these guys, he's just feasting on them right now. I mean, for them to all miss those putts and he's just there parked for birdie to take another stroke. Keep in mind, he started this round down 2. We're 7 holes in. This guy's up 4.
4-stroke lead.
So he is just shredding this course right now, and these guys are going to have to step up and do something about it if they don't want to lose contact for the rest of the way. Hole 8. Par 4, 675, but playing much, much longer. I was commenting to my group that the previous hole measures 1225. This one's 675. Effectively, they're like less than 200 feet different.
Yeah.
Because this one's going uphill, and especially today, the wind less favorable for this hole than it is for the last. Paul going to go big turning shot here.
And this
is flexing.
Yeah, I think this is fading towards. Yeah, this is going to be well out of bounds.
Okay.
No, first misstep from Mr. McBeth.
And that is a big mistake. I mean, this is, not a drive where if you're looking for birdie, sure, you do need to push it a little bit. But that's a really surprising miss.
And that's a nice correction for Chris. Just overturn.
roll.
Even if it throws a little bit, you're going to be fine. Too much cut is good as long as it's tight like that one. And he's going to be in the middle of the fairway. I don't think he's really in position to attack that second shot to try to go for the birdie, but he's safe nonetheless.
Forehand up around the corner for Nate. I would say 0% chance of reaching the basket from there, but that's fine. This hole is a great par.
And Zach with the safe lefty hyzer. Good distance as well. Zach is a player, I think a big lefty is certainly a huge advantage to go big hyzer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so tricky to get all the way up to the pin in two.
That's a bit surprising going backhand hyzer, but that'll work. Kind of staying, I think you have more room with the forehand, obviously more distance with the backhand though. So Nate made that choice and he's up in bounds. Paul getting after this, after the OB. How close can he get?
Yeah, just inside circle two. That's going to be 50 feet. Now, just going back real quick, hole 7 averaged 5.7. That's only the 5th hardest on the hole for the entire day.
Whoa.
I mean, 4 holes are averaging over 0.7 over par. This being one of them. The second hardest hole, 4.97, averaging a full stroke above par.
Thank you.
3% of the field, out of the 101 player field, able to get the birdie on this one.
See if we might see one here from Zach. He is a guy that could definitely do it, and he goes big here.
That's the aggressive line that you'd want, but is it too wide?
He's in with a chance, but man, it's going to be a tough putt.
Nate's in layup zone, only if you can do it.
It's so touchy.
It is so touchy going down the hill, but that wind is actually somewhat helpful. If it was a left to right cross, it would have been a lot more difficult, but that right to left headwind slowing down the angle of the driver. And Zach Melton just off.
And Chris with the birdie look. Oh,
Just
wow.
missing. Yeah, so it's such a rare feat. I guess we got to shout out Brian Earhart, Nico LaCastro, and Ricky Wysocki on their birdies.
True.
Just such a hard hole.
True heroes.
Yeah, the heroes we all need right now.
Bogey for Paul.
Well, these pars feel like birdies, though.
Yeah.
Good scores for the other three.
Oh, hello.
Nate, we got to do check-in.
I can't read the scores. Can you read them to me?
Yeah, it's Paul McBeth at 4 under.
McBeth is at 4 under through the
Lazat's
round.
doing well.
Lazat
He's
moving
at 11
well.
under.
He's at 11.
Tim Barham making moves.
And Tim Barham also moving well. We've got some great players out there in the wind.
Albert Tam.
Oh, Estonian Albert Tam also moving. Thank you
He's
guys.
the bazooka.
Hole 9, par 3, 435 feet downhill. There's a little bit OB, if you hadn't noticed.
Jeez.
As you're going downhill towards the big rock where the basket is, it's just blowing wind off the lake. You got the trees on the right that are all OB down that big gully. And that left side is tighter than last year where they don't really give you that little bit up the hill that can kind of handle some skip. So this is a really, really tough tee shot.
And it's a pretty strong left to right. You don't quite see it with these trees here, but
This is a fantastic throw. He threw that so hard, and that's what you need to do.
and that OB line has been narrowed so much on the left side and on the right side a bit. But man, to stay in balance all the way down there by the pin, that is just a battle won in itself. Perkins going with a night strike here.
Wow, that is
Look at
really
this.
good.
This is beautiful. Inside the circle. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Out of his hand, you're a little worried. It looks inside, but he's throwing a little bit flippier disc than most, I think, here. And just great confidence. And again, man, nightmare lefty time.
That's
And
got to
this
start
blow.
swinging.
Really push. I think it might have done it.
Oh, wow. I mean,
Awesome.
you're just having a heart attack for 99% of that flight. That is such a scary lefty shot. Zach Melton, once again, proving that he is that hero that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Pablo goes with some height. Can this start fading? I don't think so.
Right when it needed to fade, it catches a limb and directs it back OB.
So just when this started to look like a runaway, a couple out of bounds from Paul, these other guys are looking at birdie putts, albeit very difficult wind putts, and Paul still has some work left. Chris for a birdie.
Can he pounce on the opportunity? No, he cannot. Okay, so maybe Nate was just outside the circle, but nonetheless, incredible drive.
49 feet. Going down the hill.
Wow.
Whoa.
What a big time bonus birdie.
Let's see that again. It kind of reminds me of the drive. It looked like too much hyzer to start. But it's home. He knows better than I do.
Oh, he leaned. You see that? He leaned when the disc was in the air, and you got to lean.
Of course. Do you even want a birdie if you don't lean?
Mm-mm. Melton. Oh, man, that just
man.
dropped out of the sky like a stone.
Paul for the bogey.
That's a big putt. You know, if that's a birdie putt, we don't even think of that as like, there's no pressure there. Paul's step up making that. But when that's for bogey, that's certainly a much different situation for the player. And
You
Paul,
wish it wasn't, but we're all only human. You know, it's hard to ignore
it
the
just is, man.
situation.
So here's a hole where only 6 people birdied and another hole averaging 0.75 over par. This little stretch, the 5, 7, 8, 9, is one of the most brutal stretches that you really have on the entire tour.
Yeah.
And just coming out there at even, or maybe if you can get under par in that stretch, you are just loving life.
You're having a good day for sure. Thank you again to DISCRAFT for their support. Thanks to all of you fans out there for tuning in and listening to us yammer on day after day out here on the course.
We're sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. But thank you guys so much. JomezPro Founders Club, also super important to our efforts. We will be back with the back nine from Fox Run Meadows right away.
Big Sexy out.